News Radio 700 WLW.
If you were driving out and about this week or even today and you're looking to fill your car up with gasoline, east side of Cincinnati, it's about $2.86 a gallon. Delhi, in that area, west side, anywhere from $3.19 to $3.25. Northern Kentucky, Bellevue, about $3.09 is where it's at. But the national average price for a gallon of gasoline hit a 4-month high this past week. And many analysts are now saying it will keep rising as oil prices trend upward, refineries struggle with capacity, and states transition to more expensive summer fuel blends. They're expected to see increases throughout the entire summer. What does that mean for you and me? Well, it means more at the pump. Why is it more at the pump? Well, it's more at the pump because, as we all know, the current administration has declared war on fossil fuel in this country. And secondly, there's this little thing going on over in the Middle East that Iran is funding. And God forbid if if Joe Biden starts bombing the oil fields of Iran, because then gasoline in this country will go to $6, $7 a gallon. I don't think we have to worry about him doing that, but you never know. A price for a barrel of West Texas crude closed on Friday at just about $80 a gallon. Could it hit 100? And if so, what does it mean? Just in from the fields. He not only is the operator of one of the largest independent oil companies in the world, not only is R.T. Trevino somebody that understands exactly what it means from ground to barrel to gas pump. Not only there is all of that, there is this. He is a roughneck, and he worked the fields today, and I'm sure at some point in the last 24 hours, he struck that black Texas T and screamed, "Eureka!" Let's find out. R.T. Trevino, how are you on this glorious Saturday?
Oh, my goodness. I am doing well, Ken. Thank you so much for the introduction, as always. I hope everybody's having an epic 24.
Did you hit anything but dirt today? Did you drill down and all of a sudden today it started spouting up at you and just covered you? Well, you had to clean yourself with pumice.
It came up a bubbling crude today, Ken. I can tell you that much. It came up today, and God is good, and we cannot complain, can we?
We cannot. Joe Biden and the Department of Defense has chosen not to attack the oil fields of Iran, which is where Iran is most vulnerable. And, of course, Iran is about 3 minutes away from nuclear weaponry. So I'm not sure about the wisdom of attacking Iran at this point. But I do know this. If he were to do that, or if this thing did escalate towards that, gasoline would be a hell of a lot higher than $2.86 a gallon as it is here on the east side of Cincinnati. Would you agree?
It would definitely go up. The price would go up again, but the real question is how much. We've seen so many things happen, Ken, that every time it happened, we thought this is going to put us at another $10. This is going to put us at another $10. From obviously Russia invading Ukraine to the horrific acts that the Hamas terrorists did to our Israeli brothers and sisters on October 7th, and to the Red Sea agitating with the other deal, like you talked about, how Iran has continued to fund the pirates in the Red Sea to harass and take over cargo and tanker ships across the Red Sea. So you would just think that with all of those things that I just listed off, oil and gas prices would already be at $100, but they are not at this time. But we have seen a $10 increase in the last week, and that is due to the actual Red Sea disruptions that we have going on. Now that all these tankers and cargo ships are going all the way down the Cape of Africa there at the bottom, past South Africa. That's costing more money, more fuel, more man hours. So that is what we're seeing right now at the pump, at our gasoline pumps, is the initiated cost from the Red Sea.
Why are we not, you say all of these factors come into play at some point or another over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, and we have not seen the increase that we were expecting. Why so? Why have we not seen it?
Great question. First of all, this is, and I've said it before on your show, this is an upside down world we're living in, to where normal economics and supply and demand are no longer valuable in some forms and fashion. And I'm just joking when I say that. Okay.
I know.
Okay. Right now, what we're seeing is the market being played by Wall Street in New York City and the EIA. Let's keep in mind, you said it right before you introduced me, that we're now moving slowly towards more of renewable energies that do cost more money. However, the EIA and other agencies are predicting that we will lower our consumption in fuel and in fossil fuels over the next 2 to 3 years, when that's just not the case. I'm sorry, the population is going to grow. India, China are going to continue to come up at a much faster pace than this unproven, unreliable, renewable energy is going to come up.
So, okay, so all of that we can talk about and factor into this next question. I'm reading here where the oil market is going to face a supply shortage by the end of 2025. So that shortage has to be from somewhere. We all know it's not coming from the United States. We're already stressed in terms of what we can get out of the ground here, although we continue to produce a hell of a lot of oil considering the political climate in this country right now. And we also talked about what may or may not happen with regards to Iran. And Russia, of course, continues to export gasoline, oil, and which is converted to gasoline. So why will the market face a shortage by the end of 2025?
Great question. And, you know, the CEO of Occidental, one of the largest companies, mentioned that just about 2 weeks ago. And here's why. We are producing more oil now than we ever have. Believe it or not, to all your listeners out there, under the Biden administration, we are producing more oil today than we were during the Trump administration. Now, because we're producing more today, we should be drilling way over 100 more wells a day than we are. We should have 100 additional drilling rigs out right now, drilling new oil to replace the oil that we are producing out of the ground right now. So with that shortage going on, and I am not one for war with Iran, Ken, or even to bomb anything. All we really need to do is very simple, is put the Trump-era sanctions back on Iran, and they would be stopped at the starting line right overnight. Yeah. So we do need to hurt them somehow in the pocketbook. Obviously, you know, if we did blow up the field, that would probably be I'm not a strategist when it comes to anything like that, but obviously that might be a little bit long term, but there's always a tit for a tat, cause and effect. But no, if you were to add the Iran bombing in Iran and the fact that we will be short, you could easily see a $15, $20 increase overnight. Ken.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think the math works this way. We're at $80 a barrel of West Texas crude as of close of business Friday. If, for example, and gasoline here at the pump in Ohio is anywhere from $2.86 to $3.25. If that price per barrel goes to 100, if I'm doing the math correctly, then the price at the pump would be somewhere around $4.50 a gallon, and we're not that far away from $100 for a barrel of oil. Is my math correct here?
Your math is correct, because I would think that here in Texas we would be at easily $4 a barrel at $100 oil. So I do think your math is correct, based off the difference in about a 50% price between there and here.
Right. R.T. Trevino, our guest, he is the guy at Pecos Country Energy, privately owned oil and gas exploration. This is a man that learned at the knee of the legendary Red Adair. Red Adair was the guy that would put fires out in the fields of Texas when they would catch on fire. And under Red Adair, R.T. Trevino learned how to do that. In fact, he's one of the most in-demand people out there. When something goes wrong and an oil field explodes into fire, they only say one thing: get me R.T. Trevino. Am I right?
Oh, you're the best, Ken. Thank you.
Now, RT, I want to talk to you about something. I talk to a lot of people, as you well know, and I talk to a lot of people, just everyday people, guys that drive, the gasoline trucks from station to station, fill up the pumps. I see somebody like that. I talk to them a little bit. we get into a conversation about energy. And I was last week, maybe the middle of the week before, I was talking to one of these guys, and we were talking about orphan wells. Orphan wells. These are secondary wells that all the environmentalists want to just shut down completely. But he was telling me that 1/2 of all energy in the United States come from these orphan wells. Now, what are orphan wells, and why do the environmentalists want to shut these things down completely?
Okay, great question. There has been some very much more questions about orphan wells. What an orphan well is technically, Ken, is a well that has no owner. It is on a lease, on an oil and gas lease somewhere where an operator does not claim it. Nobody claims it, just like the definition of an orphan. The other wells that they're talking about are actually a lot of what you would call the second-tier wells, oil and gas wells that have been drilled in the last 50 years that are still producing somewhere between basically a barrel to 15 barrels a day. And that does consist of a large amount of, especially here in Texas, of our production. The small Texas independent, like Pecos Country Operating, we produce 50% of the oil that is produced here in the great state of Texas. So what's so important about this is all these second-tier wells, not necessarily the orphan wells, the second-tier wells, if we were to shut those off, we would lose half our production today. And what they're trying to fight is that these wells are old and untaken care of, and that's just not the case. We have rules, we have regulations that we must follow every year and to prove that these wells are safe, not leaking, and that they are still producing and not hurting the environment above ground and below ground.
Okay.
These second-tier wells are so important to our production right now that it would hurt us even more if we were to cut those off. Then on the orphan wells, we're actually working on a project right now to make sure that individuals like Taylor Swift continue to get their carbon credits as they fly across the world, and for Honda to do some things there. So maybe one day we'll be able to talk about that.
That's what she ought to do. Taylor Swift ought to adopt some orphan wells. I mean, these are poor wells.
Exactly.
They have no parents or anything. They don't have any big rigs around them, and I think she could do the country a great service by adopting some of these. Now, RT, one more question. I gave you an idea of where we are per gallon of gasoline. Let's say, we're moving into the summer. Summer blends are more expensive. Let's say July 4th. With everything we just talked about, what is the price of gallon of gasoline in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana? What is it going to be, in your opinion?
I would say July 4th, and God willing, I'm gonna think super positive here that we're gonna see just a 35-cent increase by July 4th.
35%. So we're sitting right now.
No, 35 cent increase.
35 cents. Okay, so we're sitting.
I'm going to keep it positive. I'm going to keep it positive, right, Ken, for your listeners.
So it'll be under It'll be under $4, is what you're saying.
I hope so, Ken. If not, we're going to see $4.50.
Well, keep hope alive, RT, and thanks for the info. And we'll keep looking at this, analyzing this, and get your expert opinion. If I'm not mistaken, I heard somebody yell in the background just a couple of minutes ago that we've struck it. So you probably are going to hang up the phone and go out there and see exactly what you got. And God willing, it's a well that you just hit today that's going to suck out of that ground maybe 45 to 50 million barrels of oil in the next 10 years. That's what we're hoping for you.
Amen to that. I love it, Ken. To you and everybody out there, your listeners, thank you guys as always. I do appreciate your time, Ken.
There he is. Thank you. RT Trevino.